Okay, this is take 3. Now you have seen a few videos I've made of a rather pretty flower. Looks very crepey, very white, very delicate, with a large red base on it. It has multiple blossoms. I call it a spiral plant. Well, now you're looking at the plant without the blossom on it, and you can see how it grows in a spiral. It's rather kind of pretty. Now to the upper left corner are what I call droopy red hibiscus. I have occasionally done some nice shots, macro shots of the internals of that flower. It's kind of pretty in its own way. But it is each one living to its own way, which brings me to today's subject. There's a special word for that just slips my mind, how to move into a subject. The first one is that I was looking yesterday at WordPress. I saw an article that said they had a new theme and it was terrific and da-da-da-da-da. And I went and looked at it, and indeed it was a nice theme. Matter of fact, it was so nice it made me change the print on my Blogger blog. But what it didn't do very nicely was import sways like this one. And that being the case, I didn't really think I'd change. Why go for something worse than what you've got? Now, 9 out of 10 people, when you see I use Blogger, they'll say, "You use what? What about WordPress?" And I give WordPress its due. I keep going back and looking at it, but I have yet to find one that does everything I need done. Whereas good old-fashioned Blogger, to my way of thinking, does a pretty good job. So I'll stick with Blogger. And that's probably a good idea. I'm starting to get a more diversified readership. Is that what you use for something that's half blogging? I don't know. But I'll stay with the Blogger. Now, the same sort of theme. Lately, I have been seeing articles in the Canadian press, and I'm Canadian, so I keep my eye on things there, even though I'm an expat. And it talks about various places that are hard to live in the Great White North. The latest one is the capital of the new territory, it's not a province, it's a territory. And they have a water shortage, and they're complaining because they don't get as much money to work on their infrastructure as southern cities do, and they're having a devil of a time living where they want to live. It is in the capital city, and it's just atrocious that it has a water shortage. And if it was down south, and if they were white or a colonizer, whatever term you like, things would be different. Well, I'll let them have that argument, but here's a separate argument. Before contact with the Anglo-European, the colonizer, the great oppressor, they lived a very particular lifestyle in the north. They had structures that were developed that kept them warm-ish. They were semi-nomadic or fully nomadic. They traveled with the game. They lived off the land. They built their boats out of skins and local materials. They built their houses out of ice. They made nice tents. They burned blubber fat for light and heat. They had a good, solid relationship with Mother Earth, and they lived well. Then comes the colonizers, and suddenly they're pretty much settled in one place. Their population has increased dramatically. They are living not with Mother Nature so much anymore as fighting to live against her. They import their building materials from down south. They want running water and central heating in their wooden houses. Fair enough, so be it. But don't blame the colonizer because you've adopted their way of living. It would be hard enough if things hadn't changed. But now that their global warming has taken hold, it is even harder because they have droughts. They have heat waves. They have a diminishing number of wild animals they can hunt. They are getting more and more dependent on southern supplies. This may be Canada's equivalent to the Midwest of the States, where they have built lakes in the middle of the desert and drained the rivers to do it. This is unsustainable. Living in the North as a 21st century Canadian from down south may become increasing, well, there's no may about it, it's going to become increasingly difficult. Cities may have to move, and it isn't because the oppressors are racist, it isn't because the colonizers have killed the culture. Yeah, Mother Earth is just saying you can't do this anymore, folks. You got to move. It may be time for a migration south. That won't be easy. I'm not saying it will be. But think about it, folks. The Great North, the Great White North, I don't know what the locals would have called it before the arrival of the European, but give it that name if you wish to. I don't much care or mind. They developed a way of living with the land that was dependent upon the weather and their population and their skills. The weather has changed, the population has increased, and their skills to live on the land have diminished dramatically. That's something to think about. This is not a great racist plot to destroy a culture. This is not genocide. This is simply reality of the 21st century, and it's getting nothing but worse, folks. Think about that. And at 8 minutes, we're going to pretty much tie this up in the next minute or so. Now, I mean, the same problem they're having in China. Incredible heat waves right now. They have shutting down power. They're bringing giant ice cubes the size of, the old seagoing travel sea chests into the office to try to keep things cool. They can't get enough air conditioning. They can't run their corporations and factories. And showing the people are the same all over the place. I saw a video of a young Chinese gentleman ride his motorcycle across a river on the riverbed. He got a little wet and a little muddy, but he didn't get submerged, and it never went above his tires pretty much, except for one or two little spots. Bikers are the same worldwide. We'll do anything that's crazy. In any case, this is getting on to 10 minutes. We're going to keep it one video. Think about it, folks. We're not going to be able to live the way we did. That's just the bottom line. It's time to change, and it ain't because of anybody's racism. It's because the planet has changed. And that's all for now. God willing, we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.